Carroll, bringing it forward. Thompson's making the run. Carroll hangs on to it though. Still Davy Carroll. Could go all the way here. Oh, what a goal!
I don't know what it is that makes me love you so. I only know I never wanna let you go. 'Cause you started something, you see, that ever since we met you had a hold on me. It happens to be true. I only wanna be with you.
Good evening, I'm Phil Catchpole and welcome to Ringing the Blues, the official Wycombe Wanderers podcast. On the show this week, we have all the action and reaction from the game against Northampton Town. The chairman, Rob Couhig, assesses the transfer window. Jasper Pattenden joins us on Wish You Were Here. And Chairboys fan Matt Bass is attending every round of the FA Cup this season. So we have a chat with him about his big challenge. But first, let's head to Mexico City for the Liga Juan results with Uri.
We are ringing the blues from Mexico City. It's me, Uri, and here are the results for League One. Blackpool 2, Wigan Athletic 1, Bolton Wanderers 2, Derby County 1, Bristol Rovers 1, Lincoln City 1, Burton Albion 0, Exeter City 1, Carlisle United 2, Shrewsbury Town 0, Charlton Athletic 2, Fleetwood Town 1, Cheltenham Town 0, Barnsley 2, Leyton Orient 0, Stevenage 3, Northampton Town 0, Wycombe Wanderers 1, Oxford United 1, Port Vale 2, Portsmouth 3, Peterborough United 1. So Chairboys Spanish this week. Northampton is famous for making shoes, which is why they are called the cobblers. In Mexico, shoemakers are called zapateros. How do you say shoe in Spanish? Zapato, written with a Z. Zapato, zapatero. But wait, there was one team in Mexico playing in the 70s and the 80s that were similar to the cobblers. They were known as the Union of Curtidores. Unión de Curtidores. Curtidores, okay, so leather is cuero, like queer in French. Not queer, queer. So, curtir is the way you work the leather. So, the leather union was the Unión de Curtidores, a team that played in the first division of Mexican football in the 70s and 80s. Yeah, I remember them. And post-data, do you remember Harald Schumacher, the German goalkeeper that played in World Cups 1982 and 1986 and was very famous and very rough? We all remember that game against France in the semi-final where he knocked out a French player. Well, Harald Schumacher means also shoemaker in German. So he was also a cobbler, although he may never have played for Northampton. Well, back to England with my amigo Phil Catchpole, who happens to also be learning some German, so he may understand that Schumacher thing. Adios!
Dankeschön, Uri. Super fantastisch. Right then, Wycombe Wanderers were away to Northampton Town on Saturday. Toby Large joined us in the commentary box, and here is what happened. Gareth McCleary has been fouled on the left-hand side, about 2 yards away from the corner of the penalty area. Excellent opportunity for Wycombe to drill the ball into the box. Joe Lowe is going forwards. 3 goals for him already this season. Opened the scoring last Saturday at the Memorial. Got booked for his celebration, which a little harshly, I thought. He's lining up here, as is Killian Phillips. Richard Keogh and Sam Vokes and Chris Farino. Wycombe Wanderers, a very tall unit now. And Luke Leahy to cross this in left-footed. And it comes low towards the keeper, and it's bundled in, is it? It is there! Wycombe Wanderers have bundled the ball home. I think it's Sam Vokes who's got the final touch. I think it was scrappy, but they don't care. Phillips is up celebrating. I'm not sure who's got the goal, but I frankly don't care at the moment because it's been given as a goal to Wycombe. The referee's pointed to the centre spot. There's a player down injured in the 6-yard area for Northampton. It was a low ball in that seemed to confuse the back line. The keeper had a little touch of it. I'm not sure who's got the final touch.
Yeah, I think it looked to me like it was Killian Phillips, I think, came in at the back, and he was the one celebrating at the end as well. It was scrappy, it was messy, but we'll take it all day long. Leahy's low ball into the box, and Northampton just couldn't clear their lines, and eventually a few different Wycombe players throwing themselves at it.
Matt Cecil's just showed me the replay on his laptop screen. Richard Keogh.
Wow.
Fox in the box. 3 inches out, heads the ball over the line. Gareth McCleary had a shot blocked in the build-up as well from short distance. So Richard Keogh opens up his Wycombe Wanderers account. And that's the perfect start for the Chairboys on 4 minutes. It's a free kick to Wycombe Wanderers, and all of a sudden the fans are now flooding for the exits here from the home sections. The Wycombe fans clapping them out as they go. This game is not over yet. Wycombe Wanderers have a free kick. They've led since the 4th minute. They were up against it in the first half, backs against the wall. The second half, though, they've turned the tide. The substitutions have made a huge impact for Matt Bloomfield this afternoon. Can they see it out for a second consecutive league victory for Wycombe Wanderers? Striet goes long, and the referee blows his whistle. Wycombe Wanderers win 1-0 on the road. Richard Keogh with the goal. The Chairboys faithful all rise to applaud. And that is a brilliant victory, Toby Lodge.
Get in there, Phil. What a result for Wycombe that is. And while the first half we were defensively shaky, the second half we were anything but that. We looked so solid at the back. And if any 45 minutes is going to epitomise getting a clean sheet for your team, it's that.
Gaffer, another big 3 points on the road, 2 consecutive league wins now. You must be happy with that result.
Yeah, happy with the result. Most certainly, I think after the start we had to the season, if you'd have given us 10 points from the next 4 games, we would have snapped your hand off. We have to be pleased with the way the boys, the character that they've shown, the way they've got together as a group, and we have to be pleased with the points return. Obviously, today wasn't a perfect day. We wanted to play in a slightly different way, but we'll have a look at the tactics we implemented, and we'll have a look at that because we have to see it through plain eyes. But the character of the boys, the togetherness, the resilience of the group cannot be questioned, and I'm extremely proud of them today.
Almost a game of 2 halves. Wycombe got in the lead early, but Northampton very impressive in that first half.
Yeah, they were. We knew that they dominate the ball. They've dominated that all season. Had over 400 passes in their games. They do play with the double pivot come through. They play with the wingers rolling in. They actually surprised us with how wide they played during the first half, which pinned our wing backs in, and we had to change formations to try and adapt to that. So I think we're probably still learning the formation, and we're still learning how we adapt to different formations against us. So we're going through a learning period. We're trying to do that as quickly as we possibly can, but there was a few bumpy moments, but in the main I thought that the boys defended incredibly well, and getting an early goal gave us something to defend.
You must be delighted with the impact of the triple subs in the second half.
Yeah, really pleased. I'm going to say it to them blue in the face. It's not just an 11 these days. It's a 16. I think we only made 4 today, but we usually make 5 just because the games are 98 plus another 50 seconds from somewhere today, so 99 minutes long plus the minutes in the first half. So they're long games. I think at the end of a long tiring week, it's been an emotional week for the changing room, for us as a football club. We're extremely proud to come out of the transfer window where we are, and we're extremely proud to finish the week with a win.
I was going to say it's been a long week, a tough week as you've alluded to. Looking back on it now with 3 points in the pocket, must feel good. Yeah,
it feels really good. I don't want to be downbeat. I'm really pleased. I'm really chuffed. Just a bit tired. It has been a long week, but really proud of the boys. Really proud of us as a football club. Really thankful to Rob and Pete for their backing during this transfer window, and we'll keep working and see where it takes us.
Has it been a frustrating week at times? I mean, the hours have been put in. Has it been frustrating in terms of getting things done?
Yeah, it kind of has. We thought we were very, very close. to something, but unfortunately we've just got to dot the I's and cross the T's on some stuff. So it's been a real baptism of fire, I think, to a summer transfer window. So the guys have been working tirelessly in the background. We'll continue to do so. It has been slightly frustrating, but also, really pleasing, because I'm really proud of the group we've got together.
Richard Keogh picked up another knock in the back line. Is he okay? He looked in a lot of pain initially.
Yeah, he did. We think he's okay, which is really pleasing news. It's good.
He looked like he wanted to continue as well, which is, I guess, the warrior spirit you want in your squad.
Yeah, he's a warrior. He wanted to stay on. He doesn't play that many games in his career without having that real warrior spirit. He's an absolute diehard, isn't he, in the back there? But we made a decision, and thankfully for us, it paid off because we kept a clean sheet. And
2 weeks now until the next game, a home game against Blackpool at Adams Park. Time for recovery for some of those players that have had knocks?
Yeah, we hope maybe to welcome 1 or 2 back, but we have to see how that goes. It's also time for these boys to have a day or 2 to recover, but then it's time to work. I think that it's really important that we keep our eyes on the prize in terms of how we want to conduct ourselves in our continual kind of evolution. So it's not time to sit back and relax. It's a time to keep working. We'll keep doing so, but at the same time we have to give the boys maybe a day or 2 to relax, because the effort they've put in to these last few weeks, and even before that, I can't say that I have to be totally result dependent. I'm performance dependent as much as possible. There was some good bits that came out the first 2 games, but the way they've showed the character to bounce back and keep grafting for this football club and get together as a group, I'm incredibly proud.
And no doubt you'll be watching those international players as well, and hoping and praying that they come back in good condition.
Yeah, that's always the concern, isn't it? There's a few of them going away, so we hope they returned in good nick, and in the meantime we'll be working tirelessly without them.
Wycombe Wanderers manager there, Matt Bloomfield, after the full-time whistle. We also spoke to David Wheeler, who came on as a second-half substitute. Wheels, another big 3 points on the road. Good to get consecutive league victories.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we got the goal up, and then the work rate from the boys that started and the boys that come on and finish the job was immense, and like we did exactly, I think, what the game needed at the time.
The triple sub in the second half seemed to change things quite a bit in the flow of the game, and with Wycombe with the lead, it was a proper Wycombe performance, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think despite the amount of pressure that we were under in terms of like territory and possession, I think if anything we created some better chances on the break, and I felt quite comfortable. It's hard work, but I felt quite comfortable that we weren't going to concede. And
with your own return now, this is second appearance of the season. It's been frustrating for you to watch that pre-season. How are you feeling physically now, getting back into the cut and thrust?
Yeah, surprisingly good. I expected to feel a lot worse, if I'm honest, because having 6-7 weeks of a good base from pre-season, you it sets you up for the season. And because I've missed that, I was expecting to feel like a bit behind, and I felt good, so that's really positive for me.
First outing for the new Wycombe Wanderers away kit, and you look good in green.
Yeah, and the sort of green issues rather than green army, I'd say. Yeah, it was. But we're in green, so we had to win, I suppose, for me.
Massive following from Wycombe today as well. They made their part in the second half, especially.
Yeah, absolutely. They filled the stand behind the goal and heard them throughout, and it would have been nice to have scored in front of them today, but I think they'll be more than happy with the resolute display.
2 weeks now without a game. What will the squad be doing, and what will you be doing personally? Because obviously there's a bit of catch-up to do from pre-season. Yeah,
I think it'll be a mixed bag. I think it's an opportunity for the lads that have played 90 minutes week in, week out to get that rest and recovery, and it's an opportunity for myself, some of the other lads that are coming back from injury or been on the fringes to work a bit harder and get to that point in conditioning where we're at the same level as the other lads that have been playing.
David Wheeler there after the full-time whistle too. Well, the Cobblers fans took the defeat really well. Let's hear their thoughts in the opposition view. Gen Disorder.
Exactly the sort of game you would expect when you give Wycombe an early goal. A lack of firepower was our undoing, but, God, how do Wycombe fans pay to watch that level of football? It is absolutely mind-numbing anti-football.
Adam Page, 180.
In my 20 plus years of following football, that has to be one of the most one-sided games you're ever likely to see. We absolutely tore Wycombe apart today, but somehow still ended up with no points from the game. Well played, Northampton, for not rising to Wycombe's cheating. Anyway, we go again.
Adcolt 86.
We played some really good football at times today and created chances, but gave away a gift of a goal early in the game. After that, frustration got the better of us. Wycombe look a poor side, but goals will be a problem for us.
Jake Sharp.
Wycombe wasted so much time in that game. Yes, 8 minutes added time was good, but the referee didn't once go to his pocket. Very poor.
Gareth.
You've got to laugh at Wycombe number 16, Keogh. He went down pretending he was injured to allow his team to regroup. Then he gets subbed and walks off complaining he's actually fine.
West Stand OAP.
How often does it happen that the team with minimal possession comes out on top? Wycombe had 31% today, and last week they won at Bristol Rovers with 30%. It may be effective, but thankfully we do not have to watch them every week. We played some good football, particularly in the first half, and should have taken something from the game. They scored with their only shot on target, which you could barely call a shot, following a free kick which I have no idea what it was given for. After a bright opening to the second half, we gradually lost our way and rarely threatened towards the end. Also, the referee gave us very little.
Fred NTFC.
Honestly, I count myself as a pretty measured person. But I'm really annoyed at the situation when we're so close to having such a great season with just a couple of cogs missing. Pinnock had a stinker today, but we've absolutely no one to come on in his place. I'd love to know if any other sides in League One have exactly one attacking player on the bench. We'll end up losing Brady if we don't invest.
Colin Cooper.
The frustrations of not getting another striker will be heard even louder today. We battered Wycombe for 90 minutes and dominated the game, but we just seemed toothless in front of goal. Such a shame, as we're actually great to watch.
Eric Sabin.
20 shots to Wycombe's 6 and 70% of the ball, and yet we lose 1-0. So effing frustrating. Lack of a cutting edge is going to cost us all season, sadly. We gave Wycombe a shite early goal with a keeper's howler, and then they did their Wycombe stuff of sitting back and inviting us on to have a go. We missed some huge chances too.
Tom Goodridge.
How on earth do Wycombe watch that kind of football every week?
Mysterious Curl.
Safe to say Wycombe are absolute garbage. How on earth we lost to that lot, I'll never know. But every single substitution we made this afternoon was counterproductive. We didn't deserve to lose, but we didn't deserve to win either. Oh well, not long to wait for the January transfer window to open. Hopefully, an attacker or two incoming.
Beautiful work again from Vital Len and the Regional Accents Department. Right, coming up we'll hear from the chairman, Rob Couhig, for his assessment on the summer transfer window. And we've got Jasper Pattenden and also Wycombe Wanderers fan Matt Bass and his FA Cup Odyssey after these.
Online, on Radio Player and on 106.6 FM. This is Wycombe Sound.
Bill Turnbull, a broadcasting legend whose tireless campaigning for prostate cancer awareness left a lasting legacy for men's health in the UK. Bill's message was clear.
I really want you and your loved ones to take this simple online risk check now.
Let's honour Bill's legacy together. Let's get men across the UK to check their risk. Let's broadcast it like Bill. Check your risk. Share the Risk Checker. Save lives.
We could use this time to tell you that 89% of the UK population tunes into the radio every week, and every £1 spent on radio advertising delivers twice the audience of any other medium.
Or we could fill this spot with your advert. Wycombe Sound has a range of bespoke packages tailored to suit your budget and options to either create or send us your advert. Plus a 10-minute interview to plug your company.
For more information, go to wycombesound.org.uk or give us a call on 01494 449900.
Advertising with Wycombe Sound has never been easier.
Online, on Radio Player, and on 106.6 FM. This is Wycombe Sound.
Welcome back to Ringing the Blues, live on Wycombe Sound 106.6 FM and also available on your favourite podcast platform. Just search Ringing the Blues, and once you've listened, why not leave us a review and a rating as well, only if it's a good one, obviously. Right, coming up before the end of the show, we've got Jasper Pattenden on Wish You Were Here, and Matt Bass is talking about his FA Cup journeys as he's going to every single round of this season's competition. The window closed though, the transfer window closed on Friday night, so I took a chance to speak to the chairman, Rob Couhig, over the weekend for his assessment on the summer window. The window is closed, not so much a slamming of the window, a gentle closing for Wycombe Wanderers. Rob Couhig is on the line with us. Rob, your assessment, please, of the window.
I think it was probably the best, certainly since we have been around Wycombe. The closest I can come is, if you remember, when we first were introduced to the club in 2019, and we only had 9 players on the contract, and we had to go out and sign bunches of them. Most we got on freeze. This time, the gaffer did and his entire crew and Pete did a tremendous job. I think we ended up with 11 new bodies on the squad. We've brought in some young talent to keep replenishing our developmental squad, which keeps growing the assets of the club. I think that the team that we are capable of putting on the pitch is as talented as any team Wycombe's ever had, and deeper than it's been since I've been with the club.
That kind of answers the questions in terms of inbound activity, but of course there was speculation at the start of the window and at the end of the window about people maybe leaving. When the window closed, there were no departures, but how's that affected things off the pitch?
Well, I think that some of this, quote, speculation, people are entitled to do it. It's sort of this fun social media sport. It bothers me when people come on and make announcements like they know what's going on, and they don't. And I don't think they understand the dramatic effect it can have on the young lads who play, their families, the other people in the organization. This past week, I thought it was particularly wrong when people were making announcements that they had no authority to make, they had no basis to make it, and if they knew a thing about how we operate, the first thing they would know is, unless you hear it officially from Wycombe Wanderers or Matt, Pete, or I say it, you can't believe it's going to happen. So, look, we had a guy who is terrific and a big part of Matt's plans. A lot of people wanted him. And I'm not saying we would not have worked with them, but people have to follow the rules. And when they broke the rules, we were done with them. Simple as that. And one of the rules is you can't approach a player if he's under contract without our permission. And we never gave anybody permission.
But first and foremost, then, very, very happy that the player in question is still a Wycombe Wanderer.
We're very happy that all of our people are still with us. We're happy with some of the folks that we've found other places to play but remain affiliated with the organization. And there have been a couple that we have helped to move on, and we're hoping that they have long, fulfilling careers. One of the things that's happened is our talent pool is getting deeper and thicker, and there's only a limited amount of time that can be had on the field, despite the best efforts of the EFL to extend the games as much as they can every time.
As well as, we talk about the window closing, but of course, the business is never over, is it? Because there's out of contract players. There's business that can be done outside of the window. Is that right?
And again, that's part of my frustration. The closing of the window is sort of an artificial construct that's been built in people's mind that says, oh my gosh, now nothing can be done until January. If you go back and look at our history, we will likely be adding people over the next several months, but we're going to add them judiciously. We're going to add them only if they will add to, not take away from the club. And by that, I mean, we're not looking to replace anybody on our squad, but depth is king in a league like this. When you play so many games and you can get, sounds weird when we get ready to have a 2-week vacation, basically, but once you play, you know that it can be Saturday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and you end up with games backed up. One of the things I've learned, Phil, about the game that I was not knowledgeable about, Pete is sort of the violence of the game in the sense of they're not brutally tackling each other the way we would in American football, but they're brutally banging into each other and knocking them to the ground. And some of the tussles you'll see out there are amazing. And I don't know that I would go in on a corner and want to be anywhere near the box. It just looks like a lot of mayhem to me.
We're speaking in the evening after a Wycombe Wanderers away win, their second consecutive win in the league. Things are looking a little healthier now after a slow start in the first 2 games.
Well, yeah, I guess I've got to always temper myself because I get a little irritated when after the first 2 games, people are like, oh, my God, the whole world's ending. And look, I will admit that first game, after the first 3 minutes, I was shell-shocked. And even today, I found myself after the first 25 seconds saying, well, we're past that hurdle. But yeah, look. The 2 teams we lost to, and it's a long season. You don't know where they're going to end up, but right now they're in the top 4 in the league. We battled with them. We came back in both instances. We're a good team. We really are, and I get frustrated sometimes with those who want us not to be. They're almost looking for something they can say, oh, but. And, that's not me. I am an optimist, and I'm an optimist by reason. If you do your planning, if you put the package together, I'm not saying it always comes out right, but more often than not, it does. And we're well on our way.
And are you going to enjoy this period now that the window is closed?
No, man, this is our work period. You know that. We'll be, I'll be back over next week. We're trying to make sure we get implemented some upgrades even to your area of the world, the Wanderers TV, and along with our radio partner, who I think is doing a sensational job. We want to make sure that the food process is worked up and doing well. We want to make sure our vendors are happy. It means we'll have to probably write another check this week, but we're doing all of those things that I think make us a better club. The game against Blackpool, to my mind, is really an important one for the fans. There's no excuse. The folks will be back from vacation. The teams are good. Our team is doing well. The stadium is ready for them, and the staff is ready. So I want to make sure we have a really good day that day, and I think it'll go a long way towards selling ourselves for the rest of the year.
Well, Rob, it's been a pleasure to catch up with you about the window and get your thoughts. And I'm sure that you'll be getting the relative permissions should anyone want to buy any of our players in January.
Well, I tell you what, my only advice to people is listen to Blunt Phil, wait to see what Matt Cecil says, or the interviews with either Matt Bloomfield or Pete. That's the way to find out what's really going on, because we will never do our business in public.
Well, Rob, there's an old saying here, there's only one thing worse than people chatting rubbish about you online, and that's people not talking about you at all. So it shows they care, though, right?
It does show they care, and we are grateful to them. And I know I get a little exasperated with them. I just worry about the people that they affect when they do it, and that's it. So, yeah. But look, and it's a great point. think about where we were 2 years ago, 4 years ago. Our fans have such higher expectations for us that's the best compliment they could give us.
It's another episode of Wish You Were Here, where we find out about our favourite Chairboys' favourite holidays. And we've got a guy here who works hard, and does he play hard? Jasper Pattenden, what does a holiday mean to you?
Oh, so holiday depends what the holiday is. So I do like a boys' holiday. I do like to go away with the boys. Nothing too crazy from time to time, but I do like a nice chill holiday as well. So family, relax. Go with the boys though. We up the ante a little bit.
So let's talk about the family holiday first. I've met your family. They're pretty lively too.
Yeah.
What's the family holiday like?
So a typical family holiday will be for us sort of like an adults all-inclusive. We do everything together, sort of paddle, tennis, me, dad and brother. Mum can have a chill and read her book. And then we all go out for dinner, go out for drinks in the evening together. It used to be a bit different when me and my brother were a little bit younger, but since we've sort of both been adults, everyone does everything together, play a bit of sport, have a bit of a chill, but not a lot of downtime if I'm being honest.
I can imagine the young Jasper on holiday chained to the table tennis table, the pool table, very competitive.
Oh, very competitive, especially with my brother as well. He's 3 years older than me. It would get heated, and a couple of times I've had to be moved hotel room because I just wouldn't sleep in the same room as him. But yeah, still competitive now. Don't get me wrong, especially with the paddle. I get more and more into paddle every year. Absolutely love it. So yeah, there's still that competitive edge, but I don't throw things in the pool this time.
I think I've seen paddle. Is that the tennis that looks a bit like squash?
It's like tennis and squash together. Yeah. So it's typically it's a Spanish bat sport, but it's just getting bigger and bigger now, and there's sort of facilities near me that are opening paddle courts and stuff, so it's really growing. It's a great laugh on holiday as well.
We can maybe do some paddle with Jasper Pattenden.
Hey,
could be good.
I'd be all over that.
And what about the boys' holiday? What's that look like?
So boys' holiday depends. It can be a golf holiday. So I went on a golf holiday this summer with my brother and my two best mates, or it can be I went to Tenerife as well in the summer. So you've got a little bit sort of contrasting holidays there. Sometimes it can be sort of your typical lads holiday, bit of a blowout over a few days, or it's sort of bit of golf, few beers, which I almost prefer if I'm being honest. You get the best of both worlds then. But yeah, I enjoy both sides of a lads holiday. But the golf one this year was pretty special.
You a good golfer?
Bang average. I enjoy golf. I'm not gonna talk about my golf game too much, but I enjoy golf, and especially on holiday when the sun's shining, it's golden.
And what's the best country you've played golf in? Who's got the best courses?
Probably was this year actually. I played in Alicante, so a couple of really nice golf courses out there. They're big, they're really big, wide, massive, long, wide fairways. So sort of it's quite good for sort of us lads who aren't playing off scratch numbers. So yeah, it was lovely courses. Weather was great. There's not much more you can ask for.
And what about the dream holiday? Where would you love to go that you've not been?
Canada. It's always been Canada.
Yeah?
Yeah, I love Canada. Sort of, my grandparents went on a train through the Rocky Mountains a few years ago, and I remember they showed me the pictures of what it all looked like and the scenery, and it just blew me away. Niagara Falls is somewhere that I'm desperate to go to. And my dad just got back from New Zealand as well, which is another place that I'd love to go, and sort of seeing all the pictures and the things that he's done out there. It's just those kind of holidays where you get to see things, and I like those adventure holidays as well, where you can get stuck in and have a try.
Canada's massive,
Yeah.
so it's about 3 or 4 countries in one.
I know. I'd like to sort of spend a good sort of a few months there, sort of maybe 2-3 months, and sort of just do it all. Obviously, it's difficult when you're playing football. You can't really dedicate 2-3 months in the year to go and do something like that. But potentially sort of visit a few places in Canada and then move on and go sort of to America and dot myself about. But definitely do want to go and trying to go there as soon as possible.
Well, the Chairboys family is spread far and wide. We definitely have representation in both New Zealand and Canada. So I know you're watching this, guys. Jasper, next summer maybe you need somewhere to stay.
Yeah, absolutely. Hit me up. If you've got a little place I can stay in Canada or New Zealand.
And when you get to the end of the season, it's a long season training-wise, physical on the body. Do you start pining for the break, the holiday?
Yeah, I think sort of the break's always nice. Everyone you speak to sort of ready for a break almost. I mean, always it kind of depends where your season's at and what you're shooting for towards the back end of the season. If you're sort of in that race for promotion and playoffs, then it's a very different mindset to sort of a mid-table sort of feeling. But when that break sort of comes along, it's nice, and it's just nice to sort of forget about football for the first couple of weeks and have some downtime and just spend it with family for me. And then obviously the holidays are nice as well, but then it gets to a certain point where you're like, oh, just get me back now. So you look forward to it, but then the reverse comes and you want to get back in.
I'm not sure this question is going to work for you, but if you're lying by the pool in the sun lounger, book or podcast or music?
Oh, it would easily be podcast or music for me. Probably a podcast. I've got a variety of different podcasts that I listen to at the moment.
Ringing the Blues, obviously.
Of course, yeah, that's number one on my list. But I like Smartless podcast, Wolf and Owl, which is two comedians, Ramesh Ranganathan and Tom Davis. Diary of a CEO I listen to. So there's a wide range of podcasts, but music as well. Love my music. So it'd be one of those two.
Yeah, we've heard you sing, mate. Do you get up in the evening in the
Oh, I do, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I went on holiday with my mum and dad in Tenerife and my brother. And it got to sort of the evening entertainment. And there was a guy up there doing a bit, and then he came off, and there was probably about a 5-minute gap in between the next person coming up. And it's a good 200, 300 people. And I thought, you know what? Fancy this a little bit. I'd just come off the back of winning a talent show in my school. So I was feeling pretty confident. And I've stepped on and I've gone for it and I've had a sing song and everyone was loving it and I've came racing off. And my dad didn't even see me go up. So he's like buzzing. But yeah, no. When I was younger, I did it a lot more. I used to love that sort of stuff.
What did you sing?
I sang, oh goodness, I think it was 18 by Ed Sheeran.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
One of my favourites back in the day. It's a good song. But yeah, seized my moment and took it. And that was my 5 minutes of fame in the Canary Islands.
Fantastic. Final question is cuisine. I know you love your food as well. So where's the best food destination?
For me, Italian food is one of my favourite cuisines anyway. But, I mean, when you go to Italy and enjoy their food, it's next level. So it'd have to be Italian food for me. I absolutely love it. But I do like the Spanish food and the paella and things like that. But I'm an Italian cuisine kind of boy.
There we go. Jasper, it's been wonderful getting insight into your holiday mind. And we all know that you don't need to be on holiday to rock a bucket hat.
Absolutely not. All year round for me.
You'd train it if you could.
I could, yeah. And I would love to. I might have word with a gaffer after this.
Online, on Radio Player, and on 106.6 FM. This is Wycombe Sound.
Are you looking to grow or diversify your business? Develop new or better products and services, improve productivity and efficiency? Then talk to Buckinghamshire New University about our knowledge exchange and innovation opportunities.
Our academic expertise has been supporting businesses to innovate and grow for over 30 years, from software development to marketing, engineering and more. We'll link your business to a specialist university department to deliver a strategic project to take your business to the next level.
Search online, Knowledge Exchange at Buckinghamshire New University to find out more.
Welcome to our world of merry music.
This is a journey
where everybody lends a helping hand.
into sound.
Every Tuesday night there's a 2-hour blast through 6 decades of soul, 50 years of funk and, well look, the soul from the Motown era, proper disco tunes from the 70s and beyond, plus jazz funk and loads more. All back to back, non-stop for your grooving pleasure.
Tuesdays at 10 on Wycombe Sound, 106.6 FM, the Funk and Soul Archive, with Nick Keir. Online, on Radio Player, and on 106.6 FM. This is Wycombe Sound.
Welcome back to Wycombe Sound and Ringing the Blues, the official Wycombe Wanderers podcast. Is me, Phil Catchpole. Right then, Wycombe Wanderers fan Matt Bass is aiming to attend every single round of this season's FA Cup, and that's including all the preliminary and qualifying rounds. His third game of this journey took him to Flackwell Heath on Saturday. Now, unfortunately, their game against Northampton Town was abandoned after 64 minutes after Flackwell player Matthew Ayres collapsed. After excellent work by the physios and paramedics, Matt is now at home recovering after a night at hospital for the required tests. So we wish Matt all the very best in his recovery, and we also wish the Heathens good luck in their rearranged game as well. Now, after all this drama, I spoke with Matt about his FA Cup plans for the rest of this season.
It actually started as I wanted to do it. No real aim to do any writing on it at all. And I then thought to myself, wouldn't it be nice to sort of document it in some way and sort of do some kind of quite self-indulgent book about it? So actually that is my sort of long-term goal, is to put it into a book. That's the sort of book that I love reading, something connected with football, maybe that's got a bit of a challenge or some history or the culture, the social side of things. I love reading books like that. So that was my sort of goal. And I contacted a couple of friends who used to work in journalism, a few old colleagues, and I said, you guys are still involved in sport. I'm not looking for favours here, but have you guys got any ideas for, further down the line when it gets a bit more tricky, how to get the ticket? Because I don't have a clue how I get an FA Cup final ticket or even a semi-final ticket unless, Wycombe are lucky enough to get there. So I contacted a few of them, and one of them came back to me and said, do you know I work for the FA now? No.
Wow.
Bonus. So he said, look, I can't guarantee you anything, and I love the idea of your book, but if your book doesn't come off, why don't you at least do something for us? Write an article. It can be however you want it to be. Speak to whoever you want, as long as it's within the rules of journalism, we'll publish it. We'll appreciate that. And at least then you are doing your writing for it. So that's kind of how it came about, really. A few coincidences and actually aiming to do something else, which hopefully will still happen. But yeah, it's got me back into writing, which has been very nice. And again, it kind of comes from the idea I didn't want to just go to these games and spend 90 minutes on a terrace and, that happened and the game finished 1-1 or whatever. I wanted to meet the people. I wanted, a big part of not why I go to football, what I enjoy about going to football is meeting people, or, some of my good friends I've met going to Wycombe, or, I enjoy going to the games. I always try and arrange the games that I can make these days, living a bit further away, with a friend or a couple of friends. Let's try and get to this game. It's the social side of things. It's finding out about people behind the clubs, who's working here, how this club is run, and the stories behind that. So that's kind of why I wanted to do it. And I thought that would make some nice stories there. So that's kind of been the goal. Unfortunately, appreciate we're only 3 games into it at the moment. I've been very fortunate with the people I've met. They've really embraced it. And, I'm hoping that's going to continue. I think it, certainly for the qualifying rounds, touch wood, that shouldn't be too difficult. When you get to the professional sides come in, I'm not expecting Manchester City to give me access all areas to.
I think they should. I really think they should. That's what I've been enjoying on your Twitter feed, and also the stuff you put up on the FA website already, is that the access and the welcome you've had is fantastic. And you've already answered my question, I guess, is that, will this continue throughout the rounds? But I very much hope that you'll be, arm in arm with Pep or someone at Wembley next May. I think you should have to be. You should demand it.
What was it for the preliminary round match? They invited me to the team's pre-match meal, and then after that we did. They did. Like the players had their fines, and they did it in a court style. I don't know if all the clubs do it that way, but it was a proper court. The manager was sat up in a chair, a proper judge. They had 2 players named as prosecution and defence. It was a really good laugh, but it was very much like, you come in and we'll show you everything that you want to see, and that was really fantastic. So far everyone's been, and I'm hoping the more I do that, the more like the next club or clubs are going to say, oh, this is good, this is a bit of fun, and let's let him in. Let's do that. I
think you've got to go with this way. I think when you do get to Man City, say, look, Cray United or whatever they were called, I was able to have my pre-match meal with them. I think, football is competitive. They won't want to sort of do any less than somebody else. So, I want you to be eating with Kevin De Bruyne basically next May. That's what I'm hoping.
I mean, that would be fantastic, wouldn't it? I imagine the pre-match meal at that level is going to be slightly different. It was egg and beans on toast for Lordswood against Cray Valley Paper Mills. But they don't do any kind of pre-match meal normally. It's turn up at 1:30, and if you're not there, obviously that's a fine. But not ham, egg and chips, egg and beans on toast. and a can of Coke, I think.
That's what we all aspire to. So for those of us who don't understand the setup of the FA Cup, when does it start and what level are we talking about here?
So the first, it's not the first round. It's the extra preliminary round of qualifying. So in total, if you go from the very first game all the way to the final, you would be doing 14 games. So the first game I did was at the very beginning of August. And for some teams at that level, it's actually the first game of the season, in fact. So the game I did was Wembley versus Bearsted, which is my local team entering the competition this season. They're about sort of 15 minutes up the road from me. But they are at what we call Step 5, basically the fifth level of non-league football. So what does that make it? The 9th tier of football. So yeah, I'm a million miles away from Premier League. And even speaking to somebody at one of the clubs, I was talking about the other clubs in the area, and he mentioned, Gillingham were the closest sort of football league club, and he said, they are just in another stratosphere to us.
Wow.
And I think that's a direct quote. But and again, that's not to put Gillingham down, but if we're talking about clubs like Gillingham, and obviously they were same division as Wycombe, relatively recently, if we're talking about them being in another stratosphere, then you can imagine the sort of level that we are talking about for these teams. But I must admit, I came into this completely naively as well. I've been genuinely so impressed by the standard of football. Some of the football that has been played, I'm not saying that all of these players should be in the professional ranks, but the games have been genuinely entertaining to watch, not just from the social side of things or the challenge side of things. The games themselves have been really interesting.
Well, I was about to say as well, Step 9, Anis Mehmeti came from Step 9. He did all right, didn't he? Have you seen any young gems that Wycombe Wanderers should know about? Are you going to be out eyes and ears out there?
Well, I must admit that there have been a couple. I'll tell you that the one that sort of has stood out for me so far was a player for Cray Valley Paper Mills, who actually are in at Step 4. So they're not the bottom division, one up from that. And they drew 1-1 with Lordswood in the preliminary round. And they've got a player called Kyrell Lisby, son of Kevin Lisby, who was actually in the crowd for the game. Again, in a previous working life, I was a sports journalist, and I covered Leyton Orient for a season when Kevin Lisby was playing for them. So I must admit there was a little bit of me that was sort of, I think my eyes were drawn to him anyway to see if he was, a chip off the old block. Whether he's going to make it into the professional ranks, I don't know, but I could see him playing higher than what he is at the moment. The idea that the next Anis Mehmeti could be waiting to be discovered, I'm sure he is. It's just who's going to discover him and when.
Good for you, mate. You could be having beans on toast with him in a couple of weeks.
That'd be good, wouldn't it? That'd be an anecdote for the book.
The future hopes of this, obviously, it's the great unknown, which is why it's so exciting. Is there a world where it's a Wycombe Wanderers game, perhaps, in the FA Cup for you to come and see?
I would like that. There is part of... So I guess... coming at it again from a selfish point of view, there's kind of two aspects to it, and there was only one to begin with, which was the challenge, who I'm going to meet and what I'm going to see and what I'm going to find out, etc. But like I say, so far the clubs have, I think, inadvertently kind of done this kind of one-upmanship level. So I think as long as that keeps going, that would be great. But again, I don't really expect that when I get to the first round, unless I'm still with maybe the non-league sides. I don't know. But just to give you a little example, so for the first game, it was at Wembley, and I went a couple of days before to meet the manager and the under-23s manager of Bearsted, and they asked me how I was getting to the game. I said, well, I'll probably be on the train. And they said, well, we're obviously running the coach with the players and a few supporters are coming up, so come up on that. Sure, great. So ended up sharing a coach with the players, and then on the way back, because it was their first coach trip anyway the season, they were doing all the initiation songs and things like that. So it was a karaoke machine all the way back about 2 hours. The under-23s manager did give me a tap on the shoulder. He said, Matt, you're new, Yeah. You need to go and do a song. I managed to swerve it. I think if it had been going a bit longer, and there'd been maybe another drink in me, I might have managed it. But yeah, and then I say for the second game, I was at Lordswood, which is sort of on the edge of Chatham, again, quite near me. I say they invite me for the pre-match meal. I've got to see their fines, not in the dressing room, but a pre-match like meeting when the manager got a little bit more serious than the fine system.
Well, I mean, the foundations are there for you to have the most incredible time. I mean, you're going to be having beans on toast with Kevin De Bruyne. You're going to be singing Islands in the Stream with Jack Grealish. I mean, I can see it all happening now. It's going to be phenomenal. And I really hope that this tour involves Wycombe Wanderers in some respect, because I just fancy a cup run for Wycombe Wanderers this year. Obviously, it's not going to happen in the League Cup. We know that isn't going to happen. So it can only really be the FA Cup, because no one's writing about every round of the EFL trophy, let's be honest. So let's fingers crossed that our paths cross again, Matt. We're going to follow your story as well. So we'll get you on throughout the journey, if that's all right with you, because I'm already fascinated by the stories. Finally, where can people find your blogs on this, your writings, so they can check you out?
So everything I'm writing at the moment is going on the FA's website. So that's thefa.com. And then if you search for the FA Cup section, you'll find it in there. Next one is out shortly. I'm generally using the app formerly known as Twitter, X, whatever we like to call it these days, to talk about that. That's kind of that's the social media form that I'm most comfortable and, dare I say, savvy with. So find me on there, and I'll generally be talking about it or asking for help. Or I say, at the moment, I'm praying for the next round. I actually can't make a Saturday game, so I'm praying for a Friday or a Sunday game that's going to be relatively kind, geographically speaking. So
well, you'll get a replay. There'll definitely be a replay in that round, surely.
Well, yeah, I and again, I did not. I say I'm setting the rules. It's my challenge, but my contact at the FA did actually say, well, if it's a replay, that's okay, isn't it? And I think I'm sort of striking the balance somewhere between what the purists would say and what I'm saying, which is, in an ideal world, it would be an original tie, but at the same time, I would take the replay. I would go for a replay. Got my eye on a couple, so hopefully one of them can be the right day.
Well, Matt, it's your FA Cup world, and we're just living in it this season. Looking forward to following the journey. And thanks for joining us. And we'll be speaking again soon, hopefully with more wonderful tales of karaoke and beans on toast. This is the sort of stuff I love, by the way.
Cheers, Bill. All the best.
What a great story. Great to chat with Matt Bass, Wycombe Wanderers fan, who's on an FA Cup odyssey this season. Stay tuned to Ringing the Blues over the season. We'll be checking in again with Matt to see how he's going on. But we have a studio guest. We have Colin of the Wycombe Wanderers show, and also Chatsworth, which is coming up after this show if you're listening live on Wycombe Sound. Good evening, Colin. How are you?
Very good evening to you. I'm really good, thank you. How are you doing?
If you were to have beans on toast with a footballer, past or present, who would it be?
Oh, that's a very good question. I think it would have to be... Would it be too common to say Matt Bloomfield?
Matt Bloomfield beans on toast?
Yeah.
Most certainly so. Fantastic.
That would be most enjoyable, I think.
It would be, wouldn't it? Yeah. Maybe that could be a new feature on Wanderers TV.
Perhaps we could arrange it.
Well, we can do that.
Yeah, beans on toast.
Perfect. How are you, Colin? You do well? You're in your Wycombe Wanderers training top.
Very much enjoying the obviously the transfer window. That was quite well. Obviously, not too much business done on deadline day, as it turns out. But it must be really interesting for yourself, obviously, to be in and amongst it.
Yeah. Seeing, I quite just like going on Twitter, seeing who we're meant to be signing, and thinking, wow, that'd be great, and then realising that that isn't happening, is it? And then other stuff that is happening, which is really exciting. Kieran Sadlier signed outside of the window, because obviously players who are unattached, point worth making here, can sign outside of the window. So lots of clubs will no doubt be looking at those potentials as well.
Maybe some free agents around the training ground.
Exactly that. What's happening on the Wycombe Wanderers show this Thursday on Wycombe Sound at 7 p.m? You must be very much looking forward to the game on Saturday.
Yes, although not the game you'd expect, owing to the fact that's been postponed, of course.
So what do you do? Because you've already previewed a game. There is no game.
I know. So often on an international break, it's quite nice to have that kind of extra space. Like previously, you have Martin O'Neill on, a bit of a special. Hopefully this week we get to look at the transfer window a bit more as well, behind the scenes at the club. We'll also be featuring Wycombe Wanderers women, who of course are at home on Sunday against Oxford City in their first home game of their league season. Quite exciting. So if you were planning to go to Adams Park and you still want to see some football, get yourself along to Burnham. I know many of the 1887 are going with Drum. and lots of noise as well to enjoy that. We'll chat to Craig, who does a lot of the media for Wycombe Wanderers Women on Thursday night, and also Chelsea Coles as well, who's a new Wycombe Wanderers Women signing. She's a new goalkeeper and has played for Chelsea as well. Called Chelsea and has played for Chelsea.
That's handy. That's on Sunday, the women's game. That's right, at Burnham.
Yes, 2:00.
Fantastic.
Against Oxford City.
Yeah, if you need your Wycombe Wanderers fix this weekend, that's where to go. And what's coming up after this show on your Chatsworth show?
Well, the focus very much on comedy, because people like a laugh, don't they? You'd think?
They certainly do, when I've been looking online.
We'll get to chat to a number of comedians on the show. We'll look ahead to who's coming up in the coming weeks. We'll preview the comedy night at the Potter's Arms in Winchmore Hill, which is this month. Also, we'll let you know who's coming to Chesham Comedy Club, although this Friday's event has sold out, but you can still get on the waiting list for that. And lots more as well coming to Wycombe Swan and Northern Farm in Maidenhead.
Well, Colin, have a great show.
Thank you very much.
Tonight and on Thursday. And I'll see you very soon for Beans on Toast.
Enjoy your international break.
There we are. That's been Ringing the Blues this week. We'll be back next Tuesday, not talking about the game on Saturday because there isn't one. It's been postponed. But we'll find something to entertain you, no doubt. See you next week.